This is Russian naval sources talking to the Interfax news agency here. They say that a landing ship has been dispatched now similarly to this eastern Mediterranean region. Now, the significance of that may come into statements that were made by Sergei Ivanov, who is the organizer of this conference and a senior figure in the presidential administration. He said yesterday that Russia is sending this military hardware to this region with a view to evacuating its citizens. Russia has thousands of citizens living in Syria, so they say that that is the purpose of these particular ships. That type of craft, this landing ship, would be the type of vessel you would need if you were to try to do an evacuation from, for instance, the naval base at Tartus. It does follow down into the region to destroyers which were dispatched on urgent orders earlier this week. There's also a reconnaissance ship making for that region, as well as an anti-submarine vessel. The significance of all of that is the symbolism. It is the backdrop against which the political negotiations here are taking place. And it is in simple terms Russia making a point to underline the importance of all of this. It plays into a narrative that Vladimir Putin has been insisting upon from the outset, that any military intervention in that region, he says, will destabilise both Syria and the surrounding region. And he says that Russia needs to retain the ability to protect its interests in that region.
And Katie, just remind us of what Putin's stance actually is. We've heard reports that he hasn't ruled out supporting a UN resolution if there is proof of chemical weapons being used and that being attributed to the Assad regime. But also, we hear that he's saying that they will respond appropriately if America decide to go down the route of military intervention.
On the eve of this conference, he gave an interview in which he said that he didn't exclude Russia supporting a UN Security Council resolution authorising the use of force against the Assad regime if they were found to be responsible for this attack. Now, some people took that as an indication that he was softening his stance, perhaps preparing to abandon the Assad regime. I think what it was a very strategic manoeuvre designed to undermine the negotiations here and to insist that the UN Security Council route is not blocked. Had he said what most people believe to be the case, that Russia will never support a resolution that authorises the use of force, then the American delegation that is here could say, look, the UN route is blocked, we will need to take matters into our own hands, Russia will use his veto. So I don't think it was a substantive move, I think it was a strategic manoeuvre. He maintains, and his spokesperson said again yesterday, that any form of military intervention that does not go through the UN Security Council, in the words of his spokesman, would be a further nail in the coffin of international law.
Katie, thank you. Katie live in St. Petersburg for us then. We'll be back.